So, Dave, it's good to have you on the podcast today. Owner of Herc's.
You can't fake yourself a great physique. You can't.
So, this first store, the first idea, what was that like?
Doing something I love, and it had never been done before.
What level of vulnerability did you feel you were at?
Just because you think it should work doesn't mean it's going to work. You have to go out there. There is no plan B.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to take a quick break from our show to say a massive thank you and a big shout out to one of our amazing sponsors, Dave DeKkeR. Dave is a mortgage broker with over 13 years in the business, and Dave has a great rapport with a network of lenders, including big banks, credit unions, trust companies, financial institutions, and private funds. He will work on your behalf to help you find the best mortgage with the most agreeable terms and the lowest interest rate. After meeting Dave many times and having great discussions with him, he provides a level of confidence and comfort in knowing that he is going to take care of you. If you want to reach out to Dave, you can find his office on 6293 Thoroldstone Road in Niagara Falls. For more information or to make an appointment for any of your mortgage needs, call 905-933-1090. That's 905-933-1090. And thanks for listening. Back to the show.
What's going on, Meeting Gold listeners? It's Chris Battaglia, 416 Coffee. Use the coupon code Meeting Gold to get 10% off your first order at 416 Coffee. Enjoy the show.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, Dave, it's good to have you on the podcast today.
Yeah.
How do I say your last name? Dave Dekker.
Yes.
Dekker. Owner of Herc's
Yep.
Nutrition. Is that Herc's Nutrition is the right?
Yeah, that would be one of the companies, yeah.
14 stores?
No, 27.
I underplayed it.
Yeah.
27 stores across Canada. It's incredible. I honestly just want to start with, Dave, you've really built a brand that encompasses everything, not just supplements, not just merchandise, not just for the guy that's working out. You haven't just done that. You've done lifestyle, and that encompasses everything. Before we talk about that, though, I do want to get into, because I think this really influences the way that you become or who you become as a person, is your childhood. Everything in your childhood. It almost haunts you in a good and bad way, that your experiences in your childhood make you who you are today, with obviously life experiences where you learn from, right? So tell me a little bit more about what I need to know about you when you were like 10 years old, young Dave. What did that look like for you?
Okay, I can't remember. I'm not sure if I can remember that far back. I can always remember that we had a home gym. My dad was one of the founders of the St. Catharines Powerlifting Club.
Okay.
Now, back in those days, GM ruled the city. A lot of unionized factory workers, big guys, strong guys. My grandpa Dekker was a wrestler, as well as a GM worker. He was in the WW before the WWE. And but my dad was a very strong man. So I grew up with the image of a gym in our house. In fact, in the Herc stores now, there's the brick wall, and that is the 1970s copy of the same brick wall that my dad put up probably in like 1970.
Really?
So we always had the gym when I was like 14, 15. I remember that far back. Apparently we have pictures of me flexing like a bodybuilder, and I would practice posing. I remember, even in the old days, like we used to have magazines piled on the toilet. It was all Muscle Power Builder, all this and that. So I would sit there and learn how to pose. And that was what I knew. And it was a positive thing in my life. I went to school. And then when I got into high school, I still worked out. There was a very small crowd back then of people that were into body consciousness, a very small group. And there was local gyms, nothing like it is now. They weren't social gatherings. There was no trendy clothing. Yeah. In fact, the average guy would take the same clothes out of his gym bag from Monday through Friday because it was just guys there, just stinky guys sweating it out.
It's interesting. We were just talking about this off camera, how the age of working out has completely shifted.
Yes.
Completely shifted. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like when you were younger, what it was like, and were there any pressures to work out?
Yeah, there were a lot actually. It was a different challenge. The phys ed programs were highly against it back then. So if I was in high school, I mean, I remember the gym teacher just laughing. He's saying, you know, he used to make fun of us. He used to call us things that I guess you're not allowed to now because it's not socially acceptable. But he would feminize us. He would do all these things. A whole bunch of guys doing whatever together, and he said you should be jogging. But then I went to Lower Seacourt and we had no football team anymore either. But, you know, the interesting thing was going through high school, I didn't drink. I worked out.
Right.
Just 5 or 6 of us. We used to go to a gym on Frank Street, Roman Bobolak's old gym. He's still alive. He's in his 70s now. There's old Benny. He looked like the coach from Rocky movies on Queenston Street. All those gyms were around. They're gone now, I think. And but it was orientated for results, for physique, and strength was very important back then, to be a big, strong man.
It was one or the other.
Yeah, it's like, so it was impressive. It was a very masculine thing. And like we talked off camera, the Charles Atlas back then. A skinny little guy on the beach, and I'm just saying it the way it was drawn, very intentionally, with a beautiful woman, and then the guy with all the muscles would come up and talk to the girl, and if he didn't like it, he'd just kick sand in his face and walk off with his girlfriend. For no other reason that he had developed bigger muscles, and that was an evolutionary thing that women were attracted to. And that's what made people want to buy weight sets and start working out. And that's why for the longest time, guys only trained their upper body. It was funny. It was like chicken legs on the bottom, they called it, and the big things on top. But again, this was a highly sexualized part of, and remember the way things were then, there was Playboy clubs, all these other things. And it was a different life back then, because this started post World War II.
Yeah.
So off to war, man, women, you know, I'm going to cook, bake, and all these other, it was very different.
Yeah.
Women had to be soft. Women weren't allowed to work out.
It was
really
very,
frowned on.
it seems like it was very one or the other, and
Yes.
gender roles were a big thing. And, you know, you'll still see people today, they'll believe in gender roles. You know, the wife should stay home and the husband should provide. And whether or not people, I don't think there's an agree or disagree with that. I think it's, you know, an opinion on what they want to do. But it is interesting how society has shifted that whole idea with the movements that it's put in place, from working out to feminism to just everything encompassing that, how society has shifted. And it goes into, and I think what's really important to understand, and this kind of ties into 27 stores around Canada, is brand presence. Because brands made those ads for weights to sell,
Yes.
right?
The Weeders from Canada.
So talk to me a little bit more about the branding that was presented to you, and was there some interest, because you're a very creative person.
Well, this is something I grew up with, so I think I had more time to noodle it over slowly. Why do we do the things that we do? Well, when you're 15 years old, you want a girlfriend. You got a gym in the basement. Remember, you are a product of what you read. We didn't have the internet back then, but we still had magazines. So girls used to look at Tiger Beat magazines, you know, with guys that were buff and had great hair, and women were supposed to be really skinny and have big hair as well, and blue eye mask, whatever, eye makeup, and lots of things like that. But women were told to not work out because, you know, which is different now, because a hard woman is good to find.
Yeah.
It's the complete opposite. What I think it had to do with the evolution of our society in a good way. I remember trying to figure out, and Good Life was one of the first chains, because it went from women should only do aerobics because they're women. There's no scientific basis. It was just cultural marketing crap. Okay, that's when Sports Illustrated still had like Twiggy models on there, right? There was no allowing to create and, you know, like some people get tattoos, but you can create the physique that you want, the one that you're happy with, the one that is good for you. So Good Life got away from that and started to put in women's only gyms. I don't know if you're too young to remember those.
But I do remember, because now Good Life is still one of the few that implement that in
Yes.
their gyms.
But it's much smaller. But they used to have standalone ones because it was thought that if you went to the gym, but it's moved that way. Originally, when girls started to go to the gym, whenever you bring a group of women in that are physically conscious, the men start to follow, and then they're creepers, and they weren't doing, at the time, it was not socially accepted as mainstream. There was no etiquette back then. So I could see that. But now it's the gym environment is, in my opinion, one of the healthiest places to be.
Yeah.
You could do a lot when you're a young person, good and bad. There are a lot of ways that you can learn and grow. One is through positive reinforcement. One is negative. The negative ones, of course, are drugs, alcohol, violence, doing not nice things. And then the other is, and you learn these lessons at the gym.
Yeah.
You can't fake yourself a great physique. You can't talk your way into a great physique. You actually have to break a big process down and learn tiny steps, which sounds like something that Lao Tzu would say, or any of these Eastern philosophers. Break it down, learn. And Arnold said the same thing. And I met him at the thing. He said, I learned how to do this. And then everything else came from the lessons I learned much easier.
Interesting. So it's that idea of taking what you've done, learn from it, and then move forward. And that's very similar with working out. If you want to keep building your chest, you're going to do the specific exercises that work on your chest, right? Mm-hmm. You mentioned your father seemed to play a big role in your influence in working out. Is that true?
Yeah, I just thought it was a great thing. Obviously, he was my dad, so I looked up to him. Once I had moved out of the house, and I went to Western. He started he was one of the people that started the powerlifting club. He's still alive, and he's still wandering around World's Gym, swinging a golf club around or whatever he's doing. He's a crazy old Dutchman. So, it was something that I thought brought out the best in my dad. And that was one thing I did emulate, and is probably the thing that has saved my life up until now. Because I am not a strong guy, and I did not do strength. I think I did one powerlifting show, and I wasn't very good at it. I realized that, why can't I just do it because I like it? I look the way I feel. It made me more confident. Again, when you're 15 years old, and a boy wanted to feel confident with a girl, it's nice to know that you put a little bit of work in here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because the insecurity, there's so many levels, but it's positive. When you work out, people that work out don't kill people. They're happy, generally.
Yeah, no,
I got some stories about that. But
No, but that is very true. I think it's interesting. So with your father playing an influence in you working out and just getting involved, was there anything in your childhood that manifested the entrepreneur route?
Oddly, no. Other than the fact that I had wanted to meet some of these people. There was something weird about my DNA, and I have it's the luckiest life in the world. I have nothing to complain about in my life. It's been a weird life. It's been really fun. I have this uncanny knack of getting close to rich and powerful people by accident. Really, I don't know how. So I just wanted to meet these people. Okay, so when I graduated from Western, this is the old way of going through university. I had a lot of jobs. One of them was spraying Pfizer chemicals on lawns. That paid my way through university and calling bingo in a smoky bingo hall. And then I was sent out here to manage an office for that company, and I ended up buying the company, and I did it, and I made good money. But I realized there's no soul in this, man. What I'd really love to do is I got really fat, and I thought, why is there Burger Kings and everything? Like, I'd wake up in the morning, I'd drink a pot of coffee, work like a banshee. 2:00 in the afternoon, I'm ready to pass out, eat 2 Whopper combos. And then I was just, so I'd lost all my conditioning because I wanted to make a good living, blah, 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 blah. So I thought, well, what about people that want to look good? Where do they go? And that's what gave me the idea for Hercs. So I was actually doing that, and I ended up selling everything I owned and starting the Hercs brand with $5,000 because that's all I had.
Yeah. So this first store, the first idea, what was that like?
Oh, it was fun. It was really fun. Because it was $5,000. I was just closing off everything else I was doing, but it was doing something I loved, and it had never been done before.
Yeah.
So I think, or I feel that I had a great background because I'd lived the industry without knowing it, or the pre-industry, because supplements didn't become popular till the end of the 90s.
Interesting. Did you So when did you open up the first Herc store?
1996.
96. Was the vision to franchise? What was the overall vision of when you opened that store? Was it just do a really good job at that one store? Like, were you a big visionary when it came to that?
You know what? It started off like that, but then people kept saying, I'm driving in from Welland, I'm driving in from Niagara Falls. So then I built those stores. Then I had a guy say, well, I'd like to buy a franchise off you. Or that's before we knew about licensing and franchising, but the rights for Fort Erie and then for Hamilton. And we grew basically because of our own clients who enjoyed the store, wanted to buy their own stores. It was it was a well-planned accident. So it worked out well.
Do you believe in luck?
I think we make our own luck.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Well, I think how to say that. We do make our own luck because if we have a vision and we think positively, all of it, we can't control the timing, but things just happen. And when they happen and they're happening with you, that's your luck coming through. It happens all the time still to me. It's like, wow, we need like 20 grand for this by Monday. Okay. Well, we'll figure it out. We can do this. Okay. What do you want to do? Let's do X, Y, Z. And then it just, by magic, there's the 20 grand or the 50 grand or the 100 grand.
Yeah. For you, being the visionary of the entire company, was that something that you planned to be in?
I don't think I planned it, but it's really the role I was dictated to do.
Yeah.
I've had an amazing bunch of people to work with over the years, and there's been a lot of them. A lot of them own stores now. But working with people, I wish I was a more present person, or I knew then what I know now. I probably would have, but we all grow through our own adversities. But no, I do believe that, and still now, that is my biggest thing is like people say, well, you're 56 now. You're going to retire? And it's like, I don't really want to retire. I think we're just getting going. I think this is our time.
So
we have an infrastructure now.
You do. And it's not easy to build that. And that kind of goes into my next question, because a lot of people don't talk about the negatives to starting a business. Like what happens when you start a business? What are the negative feelings that you get? I guess, and this leads into my question is, what level of vulnerability did you feel you were at when you went all in on purchasing that first Herc store?
Very vulnerable. If you cannot have courage without vulnerability. Okay, you can ask any soldier, any police officer, any people in high risk situations, but you have to go out there. There is no plan B. Put 100% into it. And one of my favorite quotes is Thomas Edison said, "I know 10,000 ways of not making a light bulb." So you learn lessons. You learn that just because you think it should work doesn't mean it's going to work, because your own perception of the world may be different, and usually is that of the actual world. People go, my business failed because of this. No, your business failed because you didn't get it. You left something out, or you were just stuck on a mental image. So you have to be adaptable. You knock down, and it's a struggle, really. They say, it's lonely at the top sort of thing or whatever, but it's because you have to learn so many humbling lessons. I have lost more money trying to make things work than most people. They just laugh at me. I've been in relationships where it's like, wow, you're really dumb. You just lost like $400,000. And I'm like, okay, well, I won't do it like that again. Now I know that is fine to say, but back then, well, you don't know. So if you're going to go in and be a creator, expect chaos, but controlled chaos. So know where you want to go and do A, B, C, do one step at a time. And if it hits a snag, don't take it personally, because the more you do, and the more value, or the more enterprise level, the bigger that gets, more can go wrong. There's too many moving pieces.
Yeah.
So learn to live with it, or you're going to have a heart attack. I have a lot of friends in business that just dropped dead at 45.
So, okay, now one of the things that I want to touch on is, as the entrepreneur you are, and everything that you've created up until now, when you go back and look at the time when, say, you lost 100 grand on a business idea or trying to push Hercs in a direction maybe it wasn't supposed to go, or off brand, or when you're trying to figure out the niche, where do you go in those low times? Like emotionally, you as a person, where do you go and what do you think about?
First reaction is usually the same for me. And I guess everyone has to have a bad habit or two. And that's why I love Herc so much, because I don't expect anyone to be perfect. I will literally go up. I love where I live. I just sit on my front porch, get a glass of whiskey and have a cigar. But just like, oh, but you're a health guy. Yeah, I do live a healthy lifestyle. I work out still a lot. I go to yoga. I do this, I do that. But it's called balance in life. You know, I don't know. Like, that to me is normal. So that's my first hit. It's like, okay, I got to think. Clear my mind, and then I let it single in. And then honestly, I just try and learn the lesson, and then I just let it go. Money is nothing. Money is a concept. If like people that are cheap, sometimes I feel like I'm saying cheap instead of thrifty on purpose, like save. I think they're missing a lot in life. Yeah. You can make, anyone in Canada can make as much money as they want. Just manifest, just do the work, do the process. There is no such thing as passive income. I don't care what anyone says.
That is
okay. I just love that. Oh, Instagram says I can do this. It's like, yeah, okay. Instagram says jump in the lake. You can do that too. Like, it's just, again, the people that are writing that stuff get paid. You know that, eh? They're probably the only ones getting it. But, you know, it's just let the money go and then start something else. You have to be more elastic. You have to have a thicker skin, or just get some peace within yourself to say, this is my mission, and maybe relate it to something else. There's a lot of gymnasts in the girls in the family, including my wife and her sister and everything and the kids. And it was wonderful because none of them expect to go to the Olympics right away. Right. So why would a business person expect that? Or and I have people that I've sold business models to, and they start doing well, and then they start to party because they got a girlfriends now or boyfriends or whatever they're doing. They stop showing up for work. The store isn't clean and people stop shopping there. How's that my problem? Like, guys, it's right. Stick with it. So, but from a lead point of view, I don't know. I say I'll try anything once.
So, and you touched on a lot there. One of the interesting things that I think was really what you brought up, that I think is something that the reason I want to bring to light some of the negative emotions you feel is because I think a lot of people need to go into entrepreneurship expecting that they're going to feel those things and then they can move past it, no problem, right? Mm-hmm. So can you think of like a story that you have where you thought, oh man, where you grabbed that cigarette, grabbed that glass of whiskey and just sat there and was like, that's a hard lesson? One that maybe kicks you into the real world and really makes you think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can think of a few. Okay, so having second doubts, this is probably about 15 years ago or maybe a little more now. I just thought I had a new laptop. It turned out to be 8 years old. So time is not, my wife and family say the same thing. Me and time are not on the same page. This was a while ago anyways, 15 to 20 years ago maybe. So I was running an operation. I had my warehouse in Welland, and the model then, I mean, life was different. This before computers and everything, was we would buy at bulk and then ship out to the stores. That's fair enough. I had an issue with a couple stores not paying, put it mildly. And one morning, I don't need to get into it more, but one morning I woke up and I was at minus $75,000 in my account at the bank. The account was frozen. Police had called me, and my total bills when I looked at them were over $500,000. So I had no working capital other than 3 stores. I had suppliers calling to pick up their stock because my checks had bounced to them, because it was a perfect storm. There's no one reason why this happened, but I learned a lot of lessons, and they've saved us a lot of money since. So I said, okay, fine. The first day is never a good day. You're just kind of like, ugh. And then, okay, fine. So then I confronted everything I needed to. Told all my suppliers, this situation, I can't pay you for a bit. I'm not sure I'm going to get out of this. I think I got to do some legal action on some people. but it's going to take time. The bottom line is, this is the situation. You're not going to like it. And it's funny, I found some really interesting allies. I had one supplier actually say, you've been such a good supplier, and I'm going to loan you some money.
Wow.
He says, I want you to get functioning again, pay off the bank. I just want you to buy $10,000 a month off me at COD, and then pay me back over, we'll work it out later. And I did. So it's weird. You find out who your friends are. So it was a great lesson. I used to be very embarrassed of that, but I've got tons of these, not that bad, but, literally my car payments and my car junkie and all these other things were rolled into the company. And here I am with empty warehouses, empty stores, but we got back. We found out better ways of doing business, like the Herc brand pays COD for everything. Suppliers like that. They need money. They may want to be in Costco. Costco doesn't pay until all the stock's sold, is my understanding.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's more of and the margins are very little for them. And there's a lot of restrictions and requirements. So that's great if you want to buy yourself scale, but your bread and butter is your cash flow.
So you provide that?
Yeah, we just pay cash. If you want to buy a Herc store, you got to have some money, and you can work with us. We own all our data. We know what brands are selling, what are hot, what people are Googling. We know all of that. That's why I'm telling you our website team is phenomenal, and it's changed the way we do business. So we have answers. But we're still going to make mistakes. We make mistakes. I probably make more mistakes every day than I do positive things, or ones that successfully work out in the short term. But who does? Who is perfect? Who does make, look at the best businessmen, stock market people like Warren Buffett, all these other investors, landowners, they have stop losses. They have certain things in place. So if the value on this transaction goes 30%, below my holding cost, I just sell it and write off the loss right away instead of going in. I've learned not to get too emotional about business deals. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work. We tried. I put in everything I could. Maybe I lost. Maybe I broke even. Maybe I won. But we got to stop this one now.
When the whole emotional comment, do you think that is a blanket statement for all situations? Don't get emotional?
No, I think emotion is important. It's learning which emotions you need.
Well said.
And that is something that you have to educate yourself with. I pay a clinical psychologist for 1 hour, and he's a downtown Toronto guy. It's like $300 an hour or something. So it's not free, but that is my biggest investment every week. We have to adapt to our environment. We have to learn to resolve these situations like you're talking about, refine things, and also find people, because like the emotionalism, if you're a creator, that's an emotional job. So I can get too wound up in a project that I probably should leave, or because I've spent a lot of time building it with certain people. So it's almost like I'm in a relationship instead of running a business. Now I have smarter people than myself, or with different, very different skill sets that are very good at my head office that can say, Dave, this is probably not going to work, or we're going to have to try something else. And we all do that to each other. It's actually a quite healthy relationship, and work with our stores as much as they are interested in working with us, even on a store level to HQ level,
right?
Because it's their option if they want to be involved. But the biggest problem is being a creative person is the emotionality with it, because you need emotion, you need the risk, you've got to feel it in your heart. Your spirit, and like I said, so what are the powerful forces? Your heart, your in my case, a male drive, and all these other things.
Yeah,
it's important to appreciate. Like if I didn't appreciate someone that felt good about themselves, there's nothing more beautiful in this world when someone comes in with a beaming smile, and you can tell by the way they walk, because they've got something that no one else can give them other than themselves, by working step by step towards it, whether it's in the gym. But see, remember, when you go to the gym, you may be doing yoga, which is also mind, body, spirit. You're doing all of this together.
right.
So the creative processes are actually getting closer to closer as our society evolves, which is really nice.
What is really interesting is a lot of entrepreneurs find their identity in their business.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sound like you have, because it sounds like everything that your business has gone through, you've almost separated it and learned it for yourself of what not to do, and treat it like it's a separate relationship, like you're married or you're dating, right? It's
Yes.
not, you're not that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Would you find that you had a different identity when you were starting your business?
Yeah, I married one of my staff members. She got her pro card, you know, and everyone thought she was like, really? We went on a trip to Vegas for one of our suppliers, and we were loaded, probably having a great time. It's like, well, let's do this. And it's like, you know, it was probably not one of the best decisions of my life. Nice people are nice people, but they're not the person for you. But see, I was mixing boundaries because I created, I was part of, or a figure in creating something that meant a lot with some intelligence into the industry. And I think I just may be a very lucky person to see where it was going to go. You know, but, you know, so I've had to separate, and, you know, I've been very lucky in my life with that too. So the passion for creation has to be there, but I leave a lot of the other the runnings of things now to people that have better talents than myself.
Okay, so I want to talk about that, because entrepreneurs struggle, and this is why I was so excited to have you on, because I can tell you're the guy that went through and made those mistakes, but learned from it, and now is winning years after, and continuously learning, still making the mistakes, but continuously learning and just better off, right, through those mistakes. When you are looking at team members and building a team, especially at the scale that Herc is being able to provide people, what are some of the things that you take into account when you're looking for those type of people?
The number one is their ability to have fun and to enjoy themselves. Will they be happy people to work with? Because if you're not happy, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's really people driven by money, which is fine if that's their own thing. I've never been driven by money. Money will come. I have never lacked for money. Well, I did when I was younger, or when I was struggling to get things going.
But even then you felt it was going to work out.
Oh, I just knew it was. I've never worried about it. It's like, oh, we'll be fine. I mean, it doesn't feel like that right now, but we'll figure something out, because it's always going to figure itself out.
Right.
But I always look for people that are passionate about what they do. So, and it's changed over the years. Before, I only had these meathead bodybuilders or fitness model-y girls, and now I'm very happy with the way it's evolved. I love the fact that my daughters or kids and everyone, they grew up when they were little babies, especially my youngest, sitting on the counter in a diaper drinking a Herc shake. She's 14 years old now. I'm very proud of her in every respect. A strong, healthy young woman. All of them are. My one son, great, same thing. He does work out a bit, but he still comes in for his shakes. He just walks in, makes his own shake, and leaves, because they all know how to do that. All my kids have stock boxes and stuff like that. But it's a family atmosphere. One of our corporate team, Shagan, we were at the keg before Christmas reviewing some things, and he said, man, the one thing I loved 20 years ago, he was just a Brock student at the time, was just how much fun I had in that store. We just had fun. But it's also a positive environment. People want to feel better about themselves. So you're among like-minded people. Remember, it's not the health food industry. Health food industry, to me, are people that are worried about dying. Or maybe they are. Like, it's sad. But, you know, this is positive. This is what can I do to change my life to make it really cool.
Yeah. What made you influence that decision? Like, what made you think, oh, you got to have fun? You've just got to have fun.
It just kind of came naturally to everyone there. But also, when you look at it, how do you act when you're feeling good about yourself? Okay, like, think about it. Anyone on vacation, like, think about people that are office bound, kind of conservative. Put a few drinks into them. They've worked out a bit. You put them in a bathing suit and they're on the beach. They're the ones that are doing the limbo parties all night long and everything, because they have enough confidence in themselves.
Right.
They know they're more body in tuned. And with that, the spirit, now we've come to a point where it's the mind, body, and spirit, it is all one.
Do you ever feel that Herc's, where it's at right now, looking back, is there anything that you would have done differently? It doesn't sound like you really have any
It
regrets.
adapted to its time the best it could. We went from meatheads to athletes to let's talk about fitness between genders. People used to come in and ask for women's protein. It's like, well, do you have women's steak? No. But these are actual questions. Women, I don't want to shake. I remember one lady, she's like, oh, I don't want to shake. I don't want to get big. And I'm like, lady, I've been in the gym for 20 years. Your arms are twice the size of mine.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Or, I mean, I wouldn't say it like that, but it was just the concept. It's like, you outweigh me by 150 pounds, but you don't want something that is clinic. So the educational process is now almost gone because of cell phones and media and better information. People know what they need. So let's get rid of the commodities now. Where do you go when you want to learn and experience? You want to be among people that kind of speak your language, that represent what you are or what you would like to be. I don't hire any bodybuilders. I don't hire any professional athletes. I hire people that are just really have a story to tell.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you, when you think about your story, what things, like if you had to pick a few things that influenced your decision to start Hercs, what would you say did that? Because we kind of skimmed over that, and I want to go back to that because even just acting on the idea is one of the hardest things to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, okay. So I thought back then, again, it was very similar now because there was no specialty shops, because that's what it was initially. For a smaller crowd of people, it represented probably less than 1% of the population. But I never opened up a supplement store. Since the day we opened, we had a soft serve machine. We made protein shakes. We sold clothing. I mean, it was those really crazy baggies and fanny packs. Now they're back, so we got them again.
Which you're rocking.
Yeah. Things like that. So we had clothes. We had grab and go. None of it tasted. There wasn't a huge industry back then, but then we kept up with the science. And the interesting thing is I used all my spare time around the opening. I remember before I actually opened the store, asking two very popular, very fit competing girls, do you mind if I go to the Arnold Classic with you? I'll sleep on the floor of your room. And they said, sure. So it was really nice. And it ended up me getting my picture with Arnold for the first time and stuff like that. But I met all of those people that I talked about. So I got to see a global, and then I really started to jump into the travel.
Yeah.
Like today, I am the only Canadian CEO that's ever been to Glanbia.
Glanbia?
Glanbia is an Irish company. They do $8 billion a year in sales worldwide. They make gold standard BSN. Most companies, if they're really reputable, will buy their raw materials. We're talking acres and acres and acres of the most high tech. They actually paid for me to go up there, put me in a hazmat suit. I watched production. I have a diploma from their college that I went to when I was down there. They put me to school for a week. And of course, it was wonderful. So it gave me the opportunity, and I don't know, that was maybe one of my lucky thoughts, to travel all over the world and get in part of this industry. Like I had mentioned earlier, because I had that reputation, there was one lady who was on the Dr. Phil show, and it was a weight loss challenge thing because that was popular. And Barb, she's a really nice person, and I was invited to go and be on that show and to be a personal trainer there and to be part of that show.
That's right.
And I had my Herc shirt on national TV. Yeah.
You were an actor. You were on TV.
Yeah.
Was this before Hercs, during?
Just, I think since, I don't know, I was always apparently a bit of a prima donna. I like this. So I did like the school plays and things like that, and then some stuff at Brock, and just some stuff around.
Was there a level
big.
of confidence?
It just kind of came naturally. I think it's because my 14-year-old daughter was like that, very much so.
What do you see in her that you see in yourself?
Expressive personality. Very expressive.
Like honest?
Honest, but yet fun. It's like, look at me, let's have fun. To be able to create a storyline and run with it and have some fun.
Right. Okay, so now that you've got an established brand, you've got well over 20 stores across Canada, what is the number one thing you're focusing on now for Herc's growth and moving forward? Because some would say you've already conquered it. I mean, some would say you've already conquered it once you've done a really good job at building one store and doing a lot of sales at that one store. You've got a variety of different franchises, a variety of different brick and mortar businesses. what are you focusing on now?
The experience, because post-COVID, our world has changed. You need to integrate digital with bricks and mortar. There's something called shopping therapy, which I was talking to the people at the Penn Center, and they said it was ridiculously busy. People miss it. People need a human element. I think what we learned during COVID was Amazon is great. Everyone uses it. That's fine. But it is not going to be the shopping answer. Before that, the trend was Walmart. Everything at Walmart. So it went from Walmart to Amazon. And now these companies are are asking companies like mine to fulfill their orders because we know about that. So they're a platform and they use their name and platform to make money, and we supply the products.
So you are supplying to Amazon and
yeah. So I guess there's been some work with Walmart. That's not really my thing, but it's not a core business for us. But what we do get out of it is exposure. More people know of them than us.
Right.
They have a lot more stores. They have a lot more buying power. On the other hand, though, it's that daily experience. So what I'm doing is right now, I probably told you we have the concept store in the Penn Center that we've just started working on. And what we're doing is we're going to mix the online, your phone. Remember, we have all the stats. So if we know that company X in the States is coming out with a new product, we will be first to Canada with it. We will digitalize it properly. You can come in, and people look at things differently now. Because of phones, if you walk into my new store, you'll see banks of TV sets.
So
with social media being played on them, branded ads, or maybe a clip from here on there. People want to know the history. People want to be able to communicate and to feel the experience.
Connect.
Yeah. And I believe that we now have the technology to do that and make it easier. I mean, if you're at the gym at 2 a.m, isn't there a way that you could just order your stuff and have it to your house?
Right.
Yeah, there is. And we can do that now. The old, what people call supplement stores, like the GNCs who declared bankruptcy in 2020, they didn't do any of that. They just said, here's our product. They're all commodities. And I don't think of any product as a commodity because there's so many of them out there. What's the best for you? So we need that human element. No one buys the right stuff online the first time, or actually after many times, because you follow the ads. And what is an ad? It's a promise. You believe the promise. You're usually not lying, but they don't know what you look like. They don't know your history. They don't know whether you like to eat, don't eat, smoke, drink, whether you're paranoid schizophrenic or an unhappy person, or they don't know anything about you. You come on in, we'll chat.
As a customer, because it sounds like what you're trying to do is evolve the in-person experience cohesively with the digital non-face-to-face experience and almost merge it together.
I believe it can be done.
As a customer, though, when I walk into your store, what do you want me to feel? What information do you want to relate to me? What emotions do you want to bring out of me?
Thank you for coming into the store. Thank you for believing that we can be of service to you as a human being. My goal now is to listen to you and help you get there. And that's our staff goal. And that's all our store owners' goals. Why? That we're the only company with local ownership everywhere. I mean, I would think that maybe if my personality was slightly different, I wouldn't appeal to a different group of women in their 40s and I hate to put people into pigeonholes like that, but they may feel comfortable talking to one of my 7 female owners out in the West Coast or out in Winnipeg. Have Jessica call them and then also you're maybe a little hesitant coming in. That's why we have video shopping. Like if you're visiting, say, I don't know, like even Red Deer right now or Saskatoon, and you're in your hotel and it's like, I'm a little bit nervous about going in because people do get nervous about going into new restaurants, new situations. It's not a judgment. It's just, it can happen. Especially if suppose you're not feeling 100% about yourself. We all have them.
Yeah.
So you can you book a call. So you're sitting in your hotel room and then boom, Amber comes on. She's a mom, absolutely stunning, works out. She's a real person, used to be a massage therapist. She'll walk you through the store saying, well, how about this or that and whatever. Oh, okay. Well, if you can't come in, you know what? Well, my husband will drop off the stuff at the hotel after work.
So it's that relationship experience.
Yeah.
My biggest question to that is, and I always think from an entrepreneur on a smaller scale, I always wonder about cohesive branding across of 100 stores, 20 plus stores. How do you manage to cohesively maintain a strong level of customer service even when you're not the person owning that specific store?
Okay, there's a number of ways of doing that. And again, to answer your question, please remember that business evolves very quickly now. The generational gap for information is, I believe we talked about this in another discussion, every 7 to 10 years now. Because I talked about your father, your grandfather, and you. It's 20, 25 years in between. Yeah. Now it's every 8 because, my youngest daughter is on TikTok, the other one's on Instagram, and my wife's on Facebook.
That's so true.
When you talk about cohesiveness, you've just opened up a whole can of worms. Now, I do happen to have a brilliant digital team. So, we have a Herc's Pinterest now. Like, for me, Pinterest is looking for quotes. Oh, geez, what would a Marcus Aurelius do with this? Okay, that's me on Pinterest, right? But, talking to people in their own ways. Now, to buy a Herc store is a totally different thing because there's a process. Police checks now. We actually have to, I don't care how much money you have. I don't want people to own 10 stores. In fact, I don't think anyone should own more than 2 or 3. Okay.
Why is that?
Well, you can't be in more than one place at once. That's another lesson I learned. When I had all that big financial stuff, it's because I was running between 6 stores that I owned. And the staff didn't care as much as I did. Remember the type of business it was more meatheads and stuff like that. Right. But when you have local ownership, it's a very rigorous process. I don't care if someone has the money for a store and they're just not, you don't get a good vibe. They don't believe in what they're doing. They just want to make a lot of money. Great, buy someone else's. I don't need the money. I sell more in my one head office store a week than it costs for them to buy a license off me.
Really?
So I don't need the money.
Yeah.
But I want a team member. When I pick up the phone, and it's like being married, a whole bunch of different people. That's what a really good business is. We all make mistakes. We all work together and we all try and get to the next level. So the ownership has to represent the local area. They have to represent the demographics of the people that are shopping with us. I'm on the old side. I'm probably the oldest person in the company now. I don't feel old, which is lucky, I guess.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're like a spring chicken.
That's the way I like to
21.
think about it. Yeah. Yeah. Give me a Speedo anytime.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap up our conversation, I do want to touch on your motivation because you seem very motivated. You seem very inspired and very driven. And that's not easy to find in people. Even if you owned just 10 stores across Canada, I wouldn't say that there's going to be a point at which you are wrapped up. You're done. You no longer want to bust your ass working and getting more stores and all this kind of stuff. But you seem to continue to have that and plan to continue to have it, I guess, till the day you go.
Pretty much. I'll give you the best example. I have people on a regular basis. I'll get this. So you've got a 20-year-old girl coming in. She's wearing her scrunch bummies and she's all like jacked and maybe 100 pounds. And she's got her new Herc's outfit on or her Alpha Lead outfit, very body conscious. And she's leaving with 2 bags of whole food mass gainer. Okay? Think about how that's changed in 25 years from the skinny boy who's insecure to a girl, and they're leaving with 2 of them saying, I'm going to grow the best legs and muscles that I possibly can because I'm going to be a police officer one day, or I'm going to be a firewoman. And we have those people that shop with us. I have one firewoman that is just absolutely stunning, like a strong and assertive and everything. And she's a national combat champion. But we get along because we share common interests. Her husband is the same thing. He was a national champion years ago. But I'm so blessed. How can I not get excited about people coming in and seeing that? But I envision that. I don't know how. Strong women. Because what would I want for my daughters? Would I want them to feel frail? Would I want them to think? That's what, there's just as many. I don't like gender. I don't like race. All these other things. People are people to me. And there's so many things that we can share. Yeah. And we do them in a positive way. So I don't write anything off. So now I'm thinking, do I build stores that accommodate a whole generation of equality, and because if you have the physical and emotional equality, then the job pays and everything else. So I think I would be doing the world a disservice, like not a big disservice because not that big of a deal, but you know what I mean? I think if we can help one person, that's the drive.
Yeah.
Let's update our stores. Let's do this. Let's do that.
And to keep things moving. And it's very clear you have this level of want and pursuant to just keep moving forward.
I just can't stop it. And when there's a couple of us that get together all the time. I just had a great text from our East Gwillimbury store. And he's Dave Neovish, and it says, I hope you had an amazing day. Super, super guy, but just out of the blue.
Yeah.
Mitch in Windsor, same thing. It's like, Dave, what's up? Or LaQuinn, it's like, hey, I'm pregnant. I'm having a baby. And this is our thing. And when we start talking, we all get excited. But that's because our owner group is really good.
So as you get more stores, as you continue to grow, when you have such a core group of owners and so many good, solid relationships that you're building every single day, new ones, what do you want people to say about you behind your back? What would you want people to say?
Geez, I don't know. I think that they would just have some trust in the brand, have faith in the brand. And when you talk about stores, I'm not saying that those stores are going to be anything like the stores that you see right now, because I think things are going to evolve again. In fact, I know they are. I'm just not sure how yet. But I really do want people to know that this is our passion. This is not a job. This is a career. It's no different than a surgeon crying when something doesn't work out because they're emotionally attached to it. Every person is important. No matter how much money, like none of these things like money or status or how many likes you get on Instagram. Me, myself, I'm not big on social media because I don't feel I have anything to say to people that's important.
I don't know if our listeners would agree with that one after listening to you for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's been 45 minutes already.
Something like that, I would
Wow.
imagine.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we always do at the end of every single episode is we ask our guest what questions they have for the next guest. They don't know who the guest is. They have no idea. It's just pertaining to the conversation we had. So the question that I have for you that the last guest left was, what are you doing right now to help others? And I think this ties perfectly in with what we talked about today.
What am I doing?
What are you doing right now to help others?
Pretty much trying to provide a platform for people to be better versions of themselves and give them the support to do that. And it's one of those things where if I could give as much as I could give to each person that comes in, I mean, there's a lot of hugging in a Herc store a lot of times, especially my store. I know a lot of them too. People come in. I have dads coming in, dads with their kids, moms with their kids, grandparents, 3 generations of people coming back. And it's a rite of passage into being a healthy individual to go into Herc store and have a shake. Yeah. So this is what about giving back. So what can I do to up this game? These people are valuable. I would never have had anything other than the opportunity to start one store if we hadn't found a resonance with people that benefited their lives. So how can I do it better?
I can see that makes you happy, even just thinking about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Accumulating money is nice, I guess, but it doesn't make me happy. I don't need things anymore to make me happy. I don't it's nice to, I guess, if you like something, but those things, so everything coming from within. And the business that we're doing is not really just selling supplements or clothing or providing shakes. It's about creating a nice platform of like-minded people to really thrive, to give them the stability to explore better versions of themselves, and also make their dreams come true. Like, think about it. How many people start working out together as couples when they get engaged? So what does that tell you psychologically in their mind? This is part of being the best that we can be, even if it's for one day.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful concept.
It is. It really is. And it's such a good for people to connect with each other, right? Yeah. Where did this lack of materialistic thinking come from for you? And I say lack of in a good way.
One day my wife said, you know that condo you want in the Bahamas for $1.28 million? She goes, you realize you spent more than that in cars in the last 8 years? And then I was like, yeah. A lot of people know I had the big H1 Humvee, which I got with help from Arnold because it's a U.S. military vehicle. And in Canada, you need to have an RCMP, blah, 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 to get parts. And I love Porsches. I love cars. And I don't know, maybe it was something I grew up with and where I thought that I needed all this stuff to be successful. And I've realized that some of the most inspirational people that I knew didn't really care. I remember Ron, who founded Allmax, the one year, I don't know why his wife talked to me, he said, to buying an old used Boxster. And he says, Dave, I hate it. I hate it, Dave. And he just has he had his regular domestic car. One of the best financiers in the Niagara region. He goes, Dave, I own my house. I got an X line of credit on it. I go in, I buy a new car. It lasts me 5 years. I pay cash. It's just, but it comes from within. And that's, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I love having the means to be able to take care of a family and what have you. But no one can ever people can take a car, the bank can take a car away. If business goes up and down, how responsible of a business person you are if you're sitting there bawling at taking photos of you in a private plane. To me, that's ridiculous. They're doing like the Arnold thing. It's like, I'll just take pictures of me in a car or in a plane and with really important people, and then therefore I will be successful.
And I am important.
Yes.
And it goes back to when we discussed identity.
Yeah, and
it's not finding identity in people.
You have your identity. Everything you are and everything you've accomplished, everything that you are, the questions that comes from you. I couldn't take that away from you because it's not possible. It's part of what the essence of you are. And if we cultivate that, that's great. It doesn't matter whether you like a building project goes 6 months late. You'll get it done, and you did it. But this comes from here.
Dave, what is the question you want to ask our next guest? I can't tell you who they are.
Okay.
It's a tough. That's me asking that question is a tough question. I know, because you want it to be good.
Yeah. Has your biggest perceived failure ever turned out to be your greatest success?
That might be one of the best questions I've heard.
Oh, thank you.
For the ending. Has your biggest perceived failure become, what was the ending again?
Your greatest success.
Your greatest success.
No pain, no gain.
I love it. That's a beautiful way of saying it. Dave, I know you're not big on social media, so go ahead and market Hercs. You guys can find Hercs anywhere on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, webs, Google, everything.
Yeah. Hercs.com is a handmade site, very interactive. It's very regionalized. We ship from every province. Soon be from out east when our New Brunswick store, which will be first of many out there, are done. The one thing is that all our owners are personally involved in it. I wanted a platform where we could build because it's the right thing to do. It costs money for them and it costs money for us, but we're going to have a world-class site, keep it very to our market. We have pillars, like all these things that we go through before every meeting. Is what we're doing going to add value to people's lives? Are we being truthful? Are we doing this? I don't want to be caught in fads and phases and everything. How do we sleep, like sleeping good at night? What is the integrity? So this is something that I believe in, people that are invested and have put a lot of time and research into getting the materials for you to wear, eat, snack on, all these things. We have 5 revenue streams, and the way it's delivered to you, great. Let's keep improving that, and let's make sure that any one of those experiences work with you.
Dave, thank you very much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. You shed a lot of light on, I think, a lot of things that most people won't talk about, or opening up about mistakes or perceived failures that I think a lot of people can learn from. So I think if not anybody else, I appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Guys, Dave Dekker, owner, founder of Hercs. You'll see them all over Canada, and you'll continue to see them all over Canada, maybe even North America. We'll see.
We'll see.
Okay, see you guys. Thanks so much for listening, watching. Make sure to comment down below if there's any questions you want us to ask other golden guests like Dave himself. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.